Derek Walton leads the Michigan Wolverines against Xavier as Michigan tries to stay unbeaten in the finale of the Gavitt tip-off games. It's the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's the Wolverines and the Xavier Musketeers. And basketball on BTN is presented by Aprilaire. Getting close to the tip-off here, just moments away as the undefeated Michigan Wolverines, 24th in the country, takes on the Xavier Musketeers, also undefeated. Along with Seth Davis, Jeff Levering with you. And our starting lineups presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. One name for Michigan that's in there to start. Junior Zach Irvin coming off of injury, Seth.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see him in the starting lineup. He only played 15 minutes in their previous game against Elon. Did not play in the opener against Northern Michigan. He had back surgery in September. He's been practicing for a few weeks, but is nowhere near where John Beilein hopes he is going to be. Spike Albrecht also coming off a couple of hip surgeries, so a little bit banged up, but Karis LeVert is back. Derek Walton is back. Zach Irvin is starting. Chrysler is hopping. And we're ready to go, my friend.
Should be a good one as Donnell and Reynolds to jump it in the final game of the Gavitt tip-off games, pitting the Big East and the Big Ten. Reynolds comes away with the tip.
Reynolds, a native of Detroit, as is Edmund Sumner, the redshirt freshman for Xavier. So a couple of local guys with something to prove, and there he is right there.
Jalen Reynolds. That's going to be the big matchup to watch in this game. We talked to John Beilein before the game. There's a mismatch problem with Xavier and Jalen Reynolds down low.
Well, this is the good Jalen, so we got him on the first possession. Let's see if we get him through the whole game. Consistency and emotions have been his bugaboo over his career at Xavier. Had 9 technical fouls last season, but he is a big physical specimen, and I know Chris Mack wants to get him going early.
Coming off of a game where he was shut out against Mizzou. Ran into foul trouble early in Xavier's victory on Tuesday. Michigan turns it over. Miles Davis running the point. Another storyline for Xavier in this game. Who runs the point now with the departed D. Davis to graduation? Spreading the perimeter. Big test for both teams is Bluiett to the corner for Abel. Couldn't get it, and Michigan going the other way.
Abel, the senior, has not shot the ball well his first 2 games.
LeVert, no shot foul before he went up, and they'll get Miles Davis. John Beilein in his 9th season at the helm of the Wolverines. 168 wins with Michigan. And in the top 10 of all active coaches with 719 victories, and that's not by accident. Perimeter game. That's Dawkins from 3, short.
Michigan not sending anyone to the glass, worried about defensive transition. Xavier has to win the battle of the boards.
Beilein was worried about that coming into this game. How are they going to rebound? How are they going to rebound the basketball with the big size of the Musketeers? Bluiett drives, kicks to Reynolds. Foul on his way up. We get Irvin on the foul as we see Chris Mack in his 7th season as the head coach at Xavier. And he has taken his Musketeers to the Sweet 16 3 times in the last 5 years.
Just extraordinary, the job that he's done. And this is really one of the great programs. Some people sometimes refer to Xavier as a mid-major program. It is certainly not. You're talking about 9 of the last 10 years they've been in the NCAA tournament. 5 Sweet 16s in 8 years. A lot of high major power conference schools would love to have that record. He's done a great job, and he's got a good team again.
Ricky Doyle checks in for Michigan. He spells Donnell. John Beilein saying they've got a lot of fouls to give down low tonight. Matchup problems with Reynolds. Xavier out to a quick 4-0 lead on Michigan. Haven't seen very good possessions from the Wolverines yet.
One of the real challenges Michigan is going to have tonight is getting it into the paint, either by the dribble or by the pass, most likely by the dribble.
Modified zone from Xavier. And a foul on the pass. These officials, in the early going of this college basketball season, over 25 rule changes this year, Seth. They've been calling them tight, but the players and the coaches, they've adjusted pretty well.
Well, unlike when they tried to make these changes 2 years ago, there was a lot of communication and run-up and teaching in the offseason to prepare everyone. The communication has been excellent, and I think that people were ready for the changes this time as opposed to 2 years ago.
Karis LeVert with a ball fake into the corner.
And the teams that take most advantage of that and win the battle at the foul line are going to have a huge advantage. Xavier's done an outstanding job of that in their first 2 games.
Xavier's made more foul shots than they have given up attempts so far. LeVert got the rebound short. Michigan ice cold to start. They could not let this get out of hand as Davis from 3, and that was no cheapie. Walton coming off of a career night. They're looking for a big game from him as Irvin is short and forcing some shots here early from Michigan. As we take a look at Miles Davis. Chris Mack is looking for
Michigan's not getting anything into the rim right now, and you look how deep Miles Davis is, but nobody is picking him up. That's on Zach Irvin for not identifying him. And as we said, Zach Irvin is just coming off that back surgery in September. Pain-wise, he's okay, but he was completely dormant for 3 full months. He's got a lot to go in terms of building up his lower body strength, and he just lost sight of Davis in transition.
Good look from Reynolds inside to Davis, couldn't hit. Michigan is yet to hit a field goal in this one. A lot of perimeter game from them as well. Walton drives, kicks. Dawkins, long. And a foul inside, an offensive rebound by the sophomore, Ricky Doyle. Sumner tagged with his second personal.
That drive by Walton was really the first time we've seen Michigan get a nice drive. They looked to kick it out. Dawkins couldn't hit the shot, but certainly Michigan needs more of that. So far, Abel's done a very good job on Karis LeVert, keeping him out of the paint. That's a nice take. See, Karis LeVert has that size advantage. Abel only goes 6'4", and Abel is their defensive stopper, but quickness, size, and tight officiating, Karis LeVert's got to get to the cup.
LeVert almost stole it away. To shoot for Xavier. Inside, Reynolds had position, too strong. Michigan, a team in their first 2 games shooting over 50% from the field. Irvin. Shots are contagious.
First bucket of the season. He was 0 for 7 until that shot. Maybe that'll get him a little bit of his confidence back.
Irvin, who had started every game of his career until he missed because of the injury of the opener, as Bluiett airballed it. And Michigan making a comeback against Xavier. It was the Musketeers hot early. Xavier up by 3. Xavier up early on Michigan, 7-4, as we welcome you courtside here at Chrysler Center here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Alongside Seth Davis, Jeff Levering with you. And Seth, we are playing in the Gavitt tip-off games, pitting the Big East against the Big Ten. And we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about one of the creators of the Big East, and that's Dave Gavitt.
Well, he was the creator, of course, of the Big East Conference, and was a very important figure in basketball. He was a head coach. He was an athletics guy. He was a commissioner. And he was also at the forefront of a lot of the television negotiations between the NCAA and the television partners and establishing the Big East at just the right time in the early 80s. One of the truly giant figures, one of the most respected men I've ever come across in this game. So it's an honor to be here tonight and in Bloomington last night at the inaugural Gavitt tip-off games, and looking forward to an annual tradition.
The held ball down low below the paint. When we talk about these Gavitt games, and it's nice to see these two power conferences come together, play great basketball. Right now, the Big Ten is up in the series of these 8 games, 4-3. So this is a big game for Michigan to win and bring the Gavitt Cup to the Big Ten. Not sure what would happen in the case of a tie.
That was a nice, healthy scrum on the floor, by the way. Probably like one of those old Big East coaches meetings that Gavitt had to officiate, right? John Thompson, Jim Boeheim, Raleigh Massimino, Louis Carnesecca. Like to be a fly on the wall for those meetings.
Michigan's on a 6-0 run after they were held without a field goal for the first 3 minutes.
One of the challenges for Xavier is Edmund Sumner, their outstanding redshirt freshman point guard, on the bench with 2, and that's J.P. Nakura, who's actually their leading scorer off the bench, couldn't get it to go.
Really good look and nice presence off the bench for Chris Mack. LeVert over to Walton. Good perimeter passing from Michigan. Set up the offense.
They've got Ricky Doyle in the lineup, but they're just not interested in throwing it into the post.
It's a game that Michigan plays. Surprising that they're shooting so well. Over 50% to start the season. And a late foul on the shot clock. James Farr picking up his first. Farr had a monster game against Mizzou earlier this week. Double-double with 15 and 14. Irvin heads towards the bench.
So Zach Irvin played about 6 minutes there. John Beilein said we should expect him to play maybe 20 at the most, but getting a start for Zach Irvin after shooting so poorly his last game has to help his mental attitude as he gets his body ready for the remainder of the season.
Spike Albrecht checking in for the first time. Limited minutes for Albrecht here tonight as well.
So Xavier is coming out with a lot of emotion right now, and there's a difference between intensity and an emotion. You know, on the previous exchange, you got James Farr hedging hard on a screen 35 feet from the basket and committing a touch foul. Got to be careful this season playing defense that way.
Already 5 fouls on Xavier. Doyle couldn't handle the hot pass. We take a look at some of the players coming back for Michigan that was so injury-riddled a season ago.
Well, it was a tough season last year. It's enough when you're losing guys, the Mitch McGarrys and the Trey Burks of the world, to the NBA, and then you come back, you think you have something good going, and you lose LeVert and Walton just as Big Ten is getting underway. John Beilein did a great job getting them within sniffing distance of the NCAA tournament. Couldn't quite get over the top. And, of course, in the meantime, you've got guys, especially like Aubrey Dawkins and Cameron Chapman, who got a lot more minutes than they otherwise would have. So hopefully they get everybody back. I think they can make a run at a Big Ten title. But they're not there yet.
Long way to go as Bluiett fires from 3 and drills it.
And that's good to get him going. He had an outstanding freshman year, started every game as a freshman, but kind of faded down the stretch. I expect him to have a significant sophomore season.
Bluiett on the All-Big East rookie team a year ago.
Farr's really hedging out Farr on that high ball screen. He's got to be a little bit more contained.
Karis LeVert, that's a pure stroke and a matchup nightmare for Xavier.
And for a guy who fractured his left foot, you certainly wouldn't know it watching him this season. He's got plenty of spring in his step. And there he goes, playing defense. Nothing he can't do. Nothing he can't do. You get the steal, you draw the foul, and that's Xavier's 6th team foul. You're talking about a potential Big Ten Player of the Year. Karis LeVert, the step-back jumper, does a little bit of everything, leads the team in points, assists, and steals, and second and rebounds. Kind of an afterthought when he came here. He's gotten better every year. Was very smart, I must say, not to enter the NBA draft, because somebody would have taken him, if not late first round, maybe early mid-second round. Came back for his senior year, wanted to be not just drafted highly, but ready.
Missed on 3 there. LeVert had a good look, though. He's not afraid to shoot.
Everybody back for Michigan. No offensive rebounding.
Reynolds missed. He had Chapman posted up. Chapman from 3. Got his own rebound. Set up Robinson. Chapman to the rack. Tough shot. Got the roll.
Excellent job sticking with the play. After you missed the shot, don't hang your head. Kept himself active, deflected it, and got the bucket. And that's a push-off on Reynolds.
Michigan.
Oh, I thought it was
back in this game.
Be on Reynolds. You see Chapman with the miss. Started to go back with those long arms. And the nice pass by Ricky Doyle and the finish. What happens with those three-pointers, you get those long rebounds.
Mark Donnell checking in for Doyle. Those two have been rotating the first half here, first 8 minutes or so. Michigan on a 10-3 run. Able to tie this game up 10 apiece and a foul inside. McKira ended up on the floor. Gonna get Donnell second personal.
Well, now that's 11 fouls we've gotten here. We're not even 8 minutes in. So I don't know if you get overtime for working extra minutes tonight, but the players are going to have to adjust and settle back. A lot of intensity at the start. And the referee's trying to send a message. It's going to be up to the players and the coaches to adapt, not the officials. They have their mandate.
Reynolds inside, power move over DJ Wilson. That's a mismatch. Maybe not in height, but just in pure size.
And experience.
Albrecht running the point. Less than 10 to shoot. Albrecht from three. Drilled it.
Xavier broke out the 1-3-1 zone early. That's the perfect gap on that wing, and then in the corners where Duncan Robinson is waiting. So look for them to load Albrecht and Duncan Robinson on the same side when Xavier goes 1-3-1.
First lead of the game for the Wolverines. Trying to establish Reynolds in early. McKira threw it away.
Nowhere to go. Back to him.
There's LeVert, fouled by Reynolds. Couldn't get the roll, and a strong foul, and LeVert and Reynolds mixing it up below the bucket. Emotions running high here at the Chrysler Center. Michigan up by a couple. Tomorrow on BTN, it's a doubleheader of action on the gridiron. First at noon Eastern, Indiana takes on Maryland. Then at 3:30, it's a battle of ranked teams as number 20 Northwestern takes on number 25 Wisconsin. Coverage starts at noon Eastern tomorrow, right here on BTN and BTN to go. Little rough play underneath the basket recently by LeVert and Reynolds. Things get a little chippy.
Well, you know, Jalen Reynolds does have a reputation of being overly emotional, and you know what I mean? That's a clean, hard foul, maybe a little bit close to a overtly hard. You know, he got him on the head there. That's close. They certainly didn't make any move to the monitor. I would leave that as a common foul. But I can tell you that Chris Mack and Ed Corbett had a conversation there. And I think they're still chatting a little bit more amicably now than they were a few minutes ago. Trust me, folks. But, you know, so far, as I said, Jeff, we got 12 fouls. And we're not even midway through the first half. So, and especially after a play like that, these refs are going to be very much acutely aware of all physical contact. And Ed Corbett's a guy who's only reffed in 6 Final Four. So I don't think he's going to be accepting a whole lot of extracurricular activity, whether from the players or the coaches.
LeVert on the bench. Davis hangs. Tough shot, got his own rebound. Couldn't follow. Reynolds couldn't throw it down.
And he's going to get teed up.
Hanging on the rim. We talked with Chris Mack before the game today, and he said we got to get Reynolds going early and in a positive fashion. Well, 2 trips for Reynolds where he's been a little bit iffy.
There's just no reason to do this. I mean, there's no way that is not a technical foul. And someone with his level of experience, I mentioned at the outset that he had 9 technical fouls last season, and there's a difference between intensity and emotion, and the fact is he comes in with that reputation. And the fact that he's from Detroit and might have something to prove is also cause for concern. So I think Chris Mack likes his energy, likes his passion, wants him to settle down and play like a veteran.
Duncan Robinson's going to go to the line. He has not missed from the free throw line yet here this season. Class B technical foul on Reynolds. The shot and the ball.
And I'm one, by the way, who thinks that the rules about hanging on the rim could be a little bit more liberal in terms of player safety. You see a lot of calls where a guy's going in fast on a fast break and he hangs on a little too long and he gets teed up. I'd like to see that be taken away, but you can't hang on the rim when you're going for an offensive rebound.
The alternate possession on the Class B technicals, so Xavier gets possession even though the free throw and the technical. Another new rule this year. Davis drives. Couldn't get it. Got his own rebound, though. Tenacious inside Miles Davis.
And that's the second trip where Xavier got an offensive rebound, so that's 3 on the game. They had 15.5 on average from their first 2 games.
The place where Xavier has the advantage in this game is in the paint, but they're just 3 of 11 on the Musketeers in that painted area.
I'm impressed with Xavier's defense so far in the early going. I thought they'd have a harder time guarding Michigan's action.
Good box out by Reynolds, stealing the ball away from Wilson. Zone by Michigan. Nearly a steal by Albrecht. He ends up on the ground. Fans here love him because of that hustle. What a shot by Abel. Yet to hear from Walton from Michigan. He had a career night against Elon. Had it stripped. Pushing, that's Makira. Got by Reynolds. Bluiett hangs. Trevon Bluiett stuck with it.
It's very hard for Michigan when you don't have LeVert and Walton on the floor. So first Walton came out, and then he came back in and LeVert went out. So those two haven't had a lot of minutes to work together.
Wilson. Did you hear him call glass?
I didn't hear him say anything. I heard him acknowledge the basket. Still 3 points.
Counts the same.
That's hard to bank it from there now. If you're straight on, that's one thing, but to bank it from a little bit of the wing, but it counts. Scorecard doesn't talk back.
Makira from 3. Too strong. Walton. Long rebound. Ahead Wilson and ripped away by Abel. Line changes for both teams as Remy Abel spent his first couple of years at Indiana, having a lot of success here at Xavier too.
He's 3 for 13 from the field coming in his first 2 games. More of an issue of shot selection than anything else. Keep in mind now that Evan Sumner is their second leading scorer. He's been out for most of this half with 2 fouls. I don't think he's been back in.
Abel, one of the top defenders in the Big East. That's why he is assigned to LeVert. 10 to shoot for Michigan. LeVert goes to his left. Inside, Doyle, and 1.
Beautiful job recognizing the mismatch with Doyle on J.P. Makira. He's trying to plead innocent, but he's guilty of sin on this one. He just gets caught behind a bigger man. And see how he walked into Doyle. That's why that's a foul. He's got to respect the verticality there, and he didn't. Now it was nice recognition from LeVert, but all the way down to the end of the shot clock again now. So that's an example, even though it worked out well for Michigan, of how the shorter shot clock can benefit the defense.
Abel drives, a block, and a chance for a 3-point play.
You're going to say he was inside the arc. I think that's right. Excellent take by Abel. He's much better when he's attacking the rim. But right on the baseline, LeVert couldn't hold him, and no question that's a block. Xavier's much better when they are attacking the rim. It's part of their identity. They're coming in their first 2 games. They made more free throws than their opponents attempted, 50 to 43. Attempted 20 more free throws. So they really want to make sure they win the foul line battle tonight.
Doyle checks out with 2 personals. So Michigan gets a look at Moritz Wagner. He's going to have a tough test against Farr.
Have you been practicing that pronunciation by the way all day? In hopes that he's getting in?
Oh, yeah.
We've heard good things about him. I'm anxious to see him.
He said, "Go, tell me and pronounce me as Mo. You don't have to say Maurice." So he's going to be Mo.
Hey, Mo. Hey, Mo.
Larry Austin's on the floor for Xavier, so we got Larry and Mo just waiting for Curley.
He's back in man-to-man. Oh, man. Very nice job. Thought he walked.
Wagner couldn't get it. Larry Austin.
All we need is Shemp.
The forgotten stooge.
Remy Abel feeling nice now. I think those drives really got his confidence, got his legs. He was a good three-point shooter at Indiana, just didn't get enough minutes. 49% as a freshman from behind the arc.
Abel's got 8. Not necessarily a guy that Xavier's looking for to be a big scorer.
And once again, we've got LeVert in the game, but Walton on the bench.
LeVert from 3, drained it.
Abel didn't get out there, got caught.
1-point game. LeVert's got 9. Back and forth we go. A battle inside between Farr and Wagner. Farr couldn't get it. He's improved on his jump shooting. LeVert from 3. Over Farr. Lead Michigan.
Well, they got caught on the switch. There's no way you want James Farr trying to guard Karis LeVert 22 feet from the basket. That's going to be buckets every time.
Already 6 lead changes in this game. Foul inside on Wagner. Karis LeVert carrying Michigan.
He sees the mismatch. Come get me, big fella. Pulled that trigger and splashes it. We got a ball game here in Chrysler.
Basketball on BTN is presented by Aprilaire, the #1 trusted brand in whole home air quality solutions for over 50 years. And brought to you by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. Michigan up by a couple. James Farr to shoot a 1-and-1. Back and forth game. We've seen 6 lead changes already. Farr hits the first, and that is the first point scored by somebody from Xavier's bench tonight. Michigan outscoring Xavier's bench 10-1.
And for Xavier, their 2 leading scorers, Edmund Sumner and J.P. McCura, have yet to score a point. And they're within a free throw here tying this game. So they've got to feel pretty good about the way they've attacked the glass and the way they've defended.
Rebounds tied 12 apiece. Both were areas of concern for both teams. For John Beilein's Wolverines and Chris Mack's Musketeers. That's always the main key for Xavier, rebounding and defense. LeVert to Walton.
And that's the action that I like with those 2 guys out there. They haven't been out on the floor together all that much. And once again, we're at the end of the shot clock.
3 to shoot. LeVert into the lane. Tough to defend.
Impossible to defend. Good to see him back. I know a lot of Michigan fans feel the same way.
Gonna get a foul on Wagner. Second personal. Karis LeVert, like he was never gone. We see Wagner reaching in on Reynolds.
A little bit of a chippy. Good position by Reynolds, good seal.
LeVert has scored the last 8 for Michigan, and he's got 14 already on the night. Reynolds hits the first.
It's so valuable, Jeff, especially in the NCAA tournament. You know, when I look at a team like Michigan and they have postseason aspirations, as of course does Xavier, you get to the end of a shot clock late in a game, you need a guy with the ball in his hands who can bail you out. You don't have to draw up a play. Just give him some space and let him go. And there's going to be few players in college basketball who can do that as well as Karis LeVert.
Reynolds hit them both.
I think Reynolds has settled in nicely now into the game, keeping his emotions in check.
Zach Irvin back in again, limited minutes tonight. Levert lost it. 7 to shoot. Irvin step back 3. Oh, welcome back.
Dial it up. Trevon Bluiett got crossed, got broken. Zach Irvin has got a little pep in his step tonight. Certainly a much different player than we saw in their previous game against Elon.
Played in just 15 minutes against Elon. Starting to get those legs underneath him as Mikura hangs and hits. A tough matchup for Reynolds. As Wilson's length slips the screen and a block on Davis.
I thought Davis may have gotten there. Let's take a look at Zach Irvin again. Hasn't been a lot of the case this season where the 30-second shot clock comes into play, but Trevon Bluiett, not quite a Randolph Childress moment, but he's excited. You're talking about 3 months of not being able to do anything. Can't run, can't lift, can't shoot. You're talking about a young man coming off of back surgery. You want to be careful bringing him back.
Never easy to just sit there and not do anything. These athletes that are so well conditioned, you just want to get out there and you want to do it because you've been doing it your whole life.
And then when you play, it's hard to accept the fact that you can't do the things that you want to do just because physically, when you're talking about for a shooter, your lower body strength is the most important part of the shooting action. And that's still going to be a ways away. John Beilein told us before the game that he thought it really wouldn't be until January that Zach Irvin would be physically all the way back. And it's got rhythm as well. So I'm sure John's maybe pleasantly surprised at how well he's done in the early going.
Irvin's got 5. Zone from Michigan. Tenacious from Irvin on the defense, too.
This is Michigan's 1-3-1.
Out of bounds, staying with Xavier.
I was excited about the idea of seeing 2 teams play 1-3-1 against each other. So Xavier's showing it, now Michigan's showing it. We just need to get them to do it at the same time.
John Beilein was telling us a story before the game about Michigan playing against Duke, and both were playing a 1-3-1, and it just frustrated everybody. Bluiett to the rack. Big rebound. Here comes Michigan. Irvin lost it. Mikura's got it. Numbers going the other way. Austin lays it up and in. Tie game, 32 apiece. Seventh tie in this game. And it's cleaned up over the last 10 minutes or so.
The players have adjusted. That's what's supposed to happen. Great block.
Reynolds to the rim. Ripping it down from Doyle. We're all square here at the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor. 32 apiece. Wolverines, Musketeers. Michigan and Xavier tied 32 apiece as we play in the Gavitt tip-off games. We've seen some very memorable performance from Big Ten players, Seth.
And saw one last night from Indiana freshman Thomas Bryant. Let me tell you something, folks. He's the real deal. He is considerably better offensively than I thought that he would be. And his energy and his intensity and how hard he plays and the emotion that he brings is very impressive for a freshman. I think Indiana's got some things to tighten up defensively, but I think they're ready to do some damage in what's going to be a very, very good league. You look at Maryland, Michigan State, Michigan, Indiana, Purdue. Great year for the Big Ten.
Wilson, tough shot. And a rebound off of Dawkins going to Xavier. Remy Abel has had a good night for Xavier, former transfer from Indiana.
Metro.
Abel's got 8 on 3 of 4 shooting so far, and he's played good defense for the most part on Levert. No easy task.
Karis LeVert tonight, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And by the way, 3:17 left in the first half. I think that foot's healed pretty nicely.
Filling up that stat line as he usually does. Mikira from 3. Got the roll. J.P. Mikira has had a huge start to the season off the bench.
Didn't play much as a freshman. Chris Mack calls him a gunslinger. Loves to let it go.
Walton still looking to get going. And a foul.
I think they're going to get DJ Wilson with a moving screen, I believe.
That's exactly what's on DJ Wilson. And stay tuned for the State Farm halftime report coming up. Mike Hall and John Crispin will have that from you from Chicago. A lot to talk about with the Gavitt tip-off games and this one here in Ann Arbor to finish out the Big Ten Big East Challenge.
I think Xavier's got to feel very good about the way they play here in the first half. They showed a lot of competitive toughness. They've been disciplined. They played to their strengths.
They're going to get a foul on Wilson. Jalen Reynolds may have just gotten away with hooking his left arm.
And that's what John Beilein is pointing out. If he gets any further on the court, he's going to have to go to the scores table and check into the game. But a lot of bumping there. I don't know. I think I agree with you, Jeff. There's a hook. But I like that they're going into Reynolds. You know, John Beilein talked about how many fouls he has to give in the front line. Well, they've given a lot. That's their 10th.
They've used Wilson, Wagner, Doyle, Donnell.
The problem is Michigan isn't good enough offensively in the post to get Xavier's bigs into foul trouble because they don't throw it in there.
Those 4 guys that I just talked about, they all have 2 personals. And we still got 2:34 left in the first. Reynolds in double digits.
And Reynolds only has 1 foul, and he barely played in the last game because of foul trouble.
Fresh legs.
Didn't score against Missouri in 15 minutes.
Walton trying to get going. Short. And kicked out of bounds by Donnell. Walton coming off a career night against Elon. Scored 24. Missed only 2 from the field in that one. The guy that John Beilein is happy to have back in the lineup after he missed 13 games with a toe injury. Austin to the rack, couldn't get it. Mikira kept it alive. Now Reynolds wrapped up underneath. And he's fouled inside. And Reynolds is fired up as he grabs down on that left leg.
Looked like he got kind of pinned on that offensive rebound even beforehand, I think. But I don't know how Larry Austin brings the ball up against a 1-3-1 and drives it all the way to the rim. That can never happen. So he didn't get the conversion, but because he put Michigan in rotation, that opened up the offensive rebound for Jalen Reynolds, who's been an absolute stud here in the first half.
7 of 8 from the line early from Reynolds. He has made more free throws than Michigan has attempted so far in this game. Mack said it before, Chris Mack, the head coach of Xavier, we're going to feed the big fella early and often. That's exactly what they've done. He's had good looks.
And Michigan historically under John Beilein and John Beilein's teams are not great in terms of frequency of fouls. As Mikira with a great rip from Levert.
How about Mikira?
Ripped it out of his hands.
Bluiett. Off the glass, Mikira all over the boards. Levert driving a 1-on-4 and he's fouled. Karis LeVert not afraid to drive it.
Well, there are going to be few players in college basketball who are as dangerous in the open court as Karis LeVert, not just because of his size and athleticism, but look how tight his handle is. He knew as soon as he got that ball that one way or another he was going to end at the rim.
LeVert's a guy who's been nicknamed Baby Durant for a while. And you can see why. He's got some of the same mannerisms as Kevin Durant, some of the same ball skills. Sky's the limit. Stoppage in play. Xavier has a 4-point lead on Michigan. Xavier's got a 4-point lead, and stay tuned for the State Farm Halftime Report with Mike Hall and John Crispin from Chicago. Jalen Reynolds with 11 and 5. Karis LeVert, 16 points, 7 boards. The two superstars not disappointing here in Ann Arbor.
Well, Karis LeVert has been Superman. That's really the only reason why Michigan is where they are in this game. Derek Walton's been a total non-factor, been taken out defensively, and Xavier doing everything that it wanted to do. Going into the paint, beasting on the glass, getting to the foul line. Blue-collar Cincinnati basketball.
Tipped away. 5 to shoot. Reynolds got to go up with it.
Doesn't know.
He had it loose.
They're calling it a 2.
They're going to take a look.
Now they can go to the monitor. This is one of those rules changes where instead of doing it at the end of the game, you can do it at any point. I'm not sure he got it off in time, to be honest. Let's see. I'm going to say no, but it was close.
The officials on made baskets now on shot clock, and at the end of either half, they can go and take a look.
No, I don't think he got it. I think it got to 0 in his hand. Yep, they got to wave that off. What do you think, Jeff? And no, it's in the hand.
I got no field goal, Seth. Good call. It looked from the naked eye that it was a little bit late,
right,
and the video confirms that.
And I don't think he recognized it. I think he saw his teammates shouting that the shot clock was winding down. So I think they're going to wave that off.
It's like in baseball when you have to have indisputable video evidence to overturn it.
We have it, yeah.
That looks pretty indisputable. Ball in hand with 0 on the clock.
I think when the Wolverines get into their halftime locker room, oh, they're counting it.
Counting it. Maybe it wasn't indisputable.
I'll tell you what, I didn't even think that was close. I mean, it was in his hand at 0.
Reynolds makes the bucket.
I mean, I don't mind when officials miss calls. I mean, that happens. But when you have a replay showing you what clearly happened.
Xavier up by 6 now. LeVert hanging from the elbow, short. Long rebound. Bluiett up to Austin, and they'll reset.
See, as good as LeVert has been in this first half, he can't beat Xavier by himself. He's going to have to get his teammates involved, and his teammates are going to have to step it up as well. Dawkins and Derek Walton are going to have to score in the second half for Michigan to win.
Irvin, the second leading scorer with 5. Here comes Abel to the rack, and too strong. He's going to go to the line. And they're going to get Mark Donnell with his 3rd personal. Abel's going to go to the line to try and extend Xavier's lead. Xavier's only missed twice from the free throw line. Just underlying them getting to the line and being successful so far this year.
I mean, that's getting there a lot and making a high percentage. That's going to win you a lot of ball games, especially on the road. You know, last night I'm in Indiana, and they're just crushing Creighton. And the whole game I'm saying they need to get to the line. They need to get to the line. Not so they can beat Creighton at home, but so they can beat Michigan here, so they can beat Michigan State in East Lansing, so they can win an NCAA tournament game in the Sweet 16, the Elite 8. I always say at home you can shoot threes. On the road, you got to shoot threes. And Xavier's made a lot of those tonight.
Xavier came in shooting nearly 80% from the line. Very little difference between the shot clock and the game clock, just about a half a second. Walton's going to initiate the offense now. Wagner driving on far. Wagner and 1.
Wow!
Mo Wagner.
Hey, Mo. Cross to your left. Look at this big fella. They're going to redshirt you? How about that? Cradled it on his hip. Finish it.
Bench loves it. Crowd loves it.
I think Mo needs Mo minutes.
At 6'10", he's got pretty good ball skills. John Beilein says he's a guy in the huddle where he wants the whiteboard and wants to diagnose plays.
I mean, put it in the left hand. I think we're going to see him more in the second half. I'll predict you that right now, especially with all these fouls.
Timeout called by Xavier to try and set up the last shot. 5.8 left here in the first half. Xavier up 6. Final game of the Gavitt tip-off games. Big Ten with a 4-3 lead, and these are the games that have happened so far. You see Big Ten on the left side, the Big East wins on the right side. Most very highly contested games, too close with the exception of a couple. Tight one here tonight. Final shot for Xavier. Davis leans in on LeVert. That's something that the officials are trying to clean up. But that right there, LeVert jumped into Davis. Davis initiating the contact, and they're going to get 3 free throws for Miles Davis.
See, if LeVert jumps straight up, he's going to be fine. That means Davis would have to jump into him, and that's the call that they're trying not to make this year. But you know, he just bit for the fake. Davis put that leather in the air, and Karis LeVert went for it. And lo and behold, Xavier's back on the foul line.
For the last 6 possessions for Xavier, resulting in free throw attempts. And Michigan will have a chance. 3.1 seconds left. Xavier could very well have a 9-point lead.
We got 3 seconds left, so if Michigan gets it, they can pitch it up quickly.
Bring in London, play a little defense. At 6'10", guard the inbounder. Michigan has their shooters on the floor. And Donnell to inbound. Get it to LeVert. At the buzzer, short. At the half, Xavier has a 9-point lead on Michigan. When we return, we'll send it to Chicago. The State Farm halftime report with Mike Hall and John Crispin. Got a good one in Ann Arbor.
Hey, Doug.
Basketball on BTN is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. That is the halftime act, Red Panda. She was impressive, trying to get the fans fired up for a comeback against Xavier, who's up by 9 as we start the second half. Xavier dominating at the free throw stripe here in the first half, and they've only missed twice, Seth.
And the only performer tonight better than Red Panda has been Jalen Reynolds, because he already has a career-high makes from the foul line. And as you know, Jeff, I'm not very bright, but Xavier is outscoring Michigan by 9 points at the foul line, 15-6, and by 9 points on the scoreboard. That is the entire story of the game. It's exactly what Chris Mack wanted to do. It's exactly what John Beilein feared. So the Michigan Wolverines, they're making 50% overall, 40% from 3. They've only turned it over 6 times. Maybe a little bit high for them, but that's not bad. They're losing it because they're losing the foul line battle. And get this now, for Michigan, 9 of the 13 fouls have been committed by their front court guys. So on the Michigan side, you're thinking, boy, we'll get Derek Walton going here. He only had 1 field goal in the first half. But on the Xavier side, Edmund Sumner, their redshirt freshman, who's really been, I think, their best overall player the first 2 games. He only played 4 minutes because he had 2 fouls. So he's back in the game now, and he's going to see what he can do.
They go right to Doyle inside. There was virtually no presence in the paint for Michigan in the first half. John Beilein, I'm sure, was not very happy with his club. Going into the locker rooms at halftime, and immediately they get Ricky Doyle involved in the offense.
Zach Irvin is back starting the second half.
What a look from Bluiett.
Bluiett went right at him. I don't know that Irvin is prepared to really defend a dribbler coming back the way that he has.
Walton misses. He is yet to hit a field goal in this game. Out of bounds going to Xavier.
Walton missed that one badly. Hard to believe the same guy had 24 points the last outing against Elon. Just hasn't gotten his rhythm.
1 for 3 from the field today, and he's missed on both of his shots from distance. Sumner has been quiet in this game in his return to Detroit. Davis off the mark from way deep.
That's a bad shot.
Trying to recover with a steal. Numbers for Michigan. The corner, Levert drilled it. He needed it. Dawkins going to get charged with a foul as Abel was moving towards the bucket. Reached over the back. Dawkins picks up his second. Seth, we talked about it from the outside of this game. The Jalen Reynolds was going to dictate Xavier's offense. In Michigan, down low, they are in trouble with fouls. Everybody in their front court with a foul, with at least 2. And Donnell with 3. Certainly something to watch. Doyle almost got caught out of no man's land. Reynolds tried to power for the offensive board. Walton drives the lane. He has come out aggressive here in the second half.
And I actually thought he actually forced the issue a little bit there. He had Levert on the wing. You can tell he really wants to get going. Got to be patient.
7 to shoot. Alley-oop. Couldn't get it for Dawkins. Bluiett from 3. Big transition bucket. And Dawkins in the ear of Walton going down the floor.
Well, Walton thought he should have caught it. Dawkins didn't like the pass. And nobody found Bluiett in transition.
Bluiett has 10. Inside, Irvin, and a chance for a 3-point play.
Nice curl screen there. Bluiett got lost behind. You see, he's trying to trail Zach Irvin coming across the lane. I do like Michigan, being aggressive, trying to get inside. The problem, Jeff, is you can't counter what Xavier's been doing as far as beasting down low, because that's just not what Michigan does. You're not going to throw it inside of Ricky Doyle or Mark Donnell for the post. You might slip those screens. You might try to get him in screen and roll, but they're not going to post and turn and get Jalen Reynolds to commit fouls.
Running the weave at the top. Sumner's got Doyle way out of position. Abel puts his shoulder down from the free throw stripe, and he hits it. Remy Abel's been aggressive here this game. He's got 12. Dawkins from 3.
They needed that. Michigan's going to have to shoot their way back in this thing.
What a drive by Miles Davis to answer.
Michigan is shooting and Xavier's driving.
Davis has 10. 4 Musketeers in double figures. Irvin off the mark, rebounded by Xavier. Sumner got it stripped. Walton the other way. Underneath, and a foul. They'll get Davis his 3rd personal.
What a terrific adjustment by Derek Walton in the open floor, putting the ball behind his back like that.
We look at Aubrey Dawkins, the son of Stanford coach Johnny Dawkins. The pure stroke.
Steps aside, gets some space. He's probably the guy who benefited the most with Levert and Derek Walton being hurt last year. Played a lot of minutes that he otherwise wouldn't have gotten, so he had to grow up fast.
Levert. Dawkins was the most improved player on this team last year as a freshman. He got thrust into action because of the injuries. Poked away. Here's Dawkins. Couldn't finish. And a good look. How about Mikira's hustle? He's been all over the place when he's been on the floor. Fans trying to get the Wolverines back in it.
Want to get Reynolds a touch here.
Mikira from 3. And they're going to get a foul on Reynolds.
Terrific hustle by Aubrey Dawkins. Crashed the glass and got the foul. Jalen Reynolds is frustrated. He's got his team with an 8-point lead.
Michigan right now trailing Xavier by 8 as we welcome you back to the Chrysler Center here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, alongside Seth Davis, Jeff Levering with you. And we are playing in the Gavitt tip-off games here, Big East against the Big Ten. And Dave Gavitt, this is the kind of game that he would like to see and was so instrumental in creating in the Big East.
Well, he would like to see it because of its national implications. And Dave Gavitt was really one of the first guys to understand that college basketball could be a national sport. I interviewed him one time when I was writing a book about the 1979 championship game between Michigan State, Indiana State, Bird versus Magic, and Gavitt was on the NCAA's television committee at the time. And that game, of course, served as a springboard to what we now know as the modern college game. And Dave Gavitt saw what you could do if you took the major media markets on the East Coast and created a league. So he saw things before they weren't there, before they were there.
Back and forth we go. Here's Irvin, short. Good pressure from McCura on the shot.
Great hustle by McCura. And he comes in with a reputation as a scorer, but he's just hustling all over the court. I mean, Xavier's the tougher team tonight. There's no question.
They've been more physical. And during shoot-around today, I've never seen a team battle test inside. I mean, they were getting beat up by some of their redshirt guys. The Reynolds, McCuras. There's Bluiett. These are guys that are taught to finish. And that's exactly what they've done so far. Reynolds going to the line. Reynolds got charged with a foul, his third.
I'm not sure. It looked like they may have called Zach Irvin on that foul. No, I guess not. Reynolds with the third. There's a lot of bodies flying there under the basket. That's a bad pickup for Jalen Reynolds. Got his second foul just before the television timeout, and you could see as they went into the huddle how emotional he was. You just can't let your mind get away from what you need to do physically.
Walton airballs from the corner. He still has not been able to get it going.
Just a nightmare of a night from Derek Walton.
Abel tried to answer. Duncan Robinson, he's been quiet tonight. Walton rises, can't get it, but he's going to go to the line.
See, what I like about Derek Walton is that he's not letting his outside shooting dictate how hard he plays. So his shot's not falling, go to the rim. Play defense. He's a theft artist with the ball. See there, normally he could settle for the jump shot. He's not even looking for the jump shot right now. And the way the game's being officiated, not just here but across the country, put your head down, put your shoulder down, get to the line.
Larry Austin picked up his third for Xavier. And just the mental side, if you get to the bucket, have a couple drop for you, what that does for your jump shooting could be exponential. Something to monitor. The guards for Xavier, the two guys that are filling in at the point, Miles Davis and Larry Austin, both with 3 fouls. Maybe this is Walton's time to shine.
I think everybody's got 2 fouls except for us.
I picked up my third at halftime.
I'm worried every time Ed Corbett walks by, he's going to call us for foul. So now the challenge for Xavier is going to be how they manufacture offense with Reynolds on the bench. James Farr had a big outing their last game. They can still go to him. Don't concede the paint.
What a backdoor pass. What a follow by Farr.
On cue, big fella. And he made the great pass. The pass was better than the bucket.
Farr's been trying to improve on one part of his game every single year. He's a senior this year. Poised for a big season off the bench. Michigan has missed their last 6 from the field. There's Robinson. That ends that drought.
Duncan Robinson, Division III Williams College.
The Fs.
He goes from 3 to 1, and he can stroke it.
5-point game. Michigan climbing back in. Farr turnaround, didn't get the roll. Here come the Wolverines. Mismatch. Cross court, Robinson.
Moving screen.
Offensive foul.
You can see what Michigan is trying to do. They really want to get Duncan Robinson going. That was a back screen against the zone, into the corner. It was just a moving screen. Yeah, he's got his arms up and everything.
Abdur Rahman. That's the 8th turnover for Michigan.
That's the one part of the game that I've seen called more as far as these new rules and new points of emphasis, moving screens.
So freedom of movement that the NCAA is trying to get. And you got to push inside. That's Donnell. That's his 4th. As we take a look at just a couple of the more than 25 rule changes that the NCAA put in for men's basketball this year.
And everybody, Jeff, is focusing on this, the rules changes, but it's also the points of emphasis that they have 5 areas of the game that they want to adjudicate even more closely, whereas in the past they only usually do 1 or 2. It's hand checking, it's moving screens, it's bumping the cutter. So there's a lot going on out there.
Bluiett from 3, way off the mark. Offensive board by far, trying to keep it alive, but he had 4 yellow jerseys around it. Albrecht trying to get some momentum for Michigan.
And Chris Mack just wants to buy a couple of more minutes until he can get Reynolds back in the game. You don't want to leave him out for too long. The personality of the team completely changes when Jalen Reynolds is on the bench.
LeVert inside. Albrecht kicked it back out. Robinson 3.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? His name is Duncan, but he's shooting. He's made 7 straight 3-pointers between the last 2 games.
2-point game, crowd back in it. Abel answers.
Big time.
15 for the senior.
This feels like a great second-round NCAA tournament game right now. 2 good teams going at it.
Play getting aggressive with the bench guys in. Going to get a screen foul on number 5, Trevon Bluiett. That's his 3rd.
The young man came from Division III. All he needs is a little bit of space in order to splash. The Wolverines are psyched, but they're still trailing by 5.
Basketball on BTN is presented by Aprilaire, the #1 trusted brand in whole home air quality solutions for over 50 years. And brought to you by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. It's the final game of the Gavitt tip-off games, Big Ten of the Big East. Michigan climbing back, down by 5 against Xavier, thanks to the sharp shooting from Duncan Robinson.
So Duncan Robinson's college coach at Williams, Mike Maker, was an assistant for John Beilein, and when Maker left to take the Marist job, he recommended Robinson to Beilein, and they're a little skeptical that a Division III player could play at this level. And Laval Jordan, the assistant coach, said he didn't think it was possible until they were watching video at an AU tournament in Las Vegas. And then looking at him, say, you think this guy can play for us? And they said, yeah, I think he can play for us. And I remember coming here last year, Jeff, for practice and watching this young man shoot. He didn't miss the whole practice. So I said to John after the game, I said, does he do that all the time, or did I just catch him on a good day? They said he does that all the time. So specifically for this type of offense, he's kind of like a skinnier version of Kevin Pittsnagel. And he's given them an emotional lift, and certainly on the scoreboard.
Robinson's got to shoot. Missed that time. Reynolds, beg your pardon, that's far.
And he's much better, by the way, catching and shooting as opposed to putting it on the deck. And you notice that Chris Mack went to the 1-3-1 there, changing it up. I love the move.
Reynolds ends up on the deck and had a look.
And almost decked Wagner.
Man, you don't want to be on the other side of those dagger eyes.
Well, you couldn't leave Reynolds on the bench any longer. And he's letting Mr. Wagner know his feelings.
Just a little love tap, says, all right, here we go, let's play. Sumner's been very quiet today for Xavier. Mismatch with Wagner. Sumner drive. Oh my goodness! Edmund Sumner.
That was a mistake by Wagner. Hedging on that screen that far away.
Akira is going to get hit with the foul there. Edmund Sumner, sometimes he's been compared to Karis LeVert, and you can see why.
Yeah, and also another former point guard at Xavier, Samaje Christian, who's a very good college player. Same build, same quick first step, same finishing ability, but Christian couldn't shoot a lick. And Sumner can shoot the ball. He's gotten into foul trouble, so he only played 4 minutes in the first half, but he is definitely a problem out there in terms of defensively.
Michigan in the bonus already. 10:30 to play. That dunk by Sumner's first points of the night.
Well, now we talk obviously about the foul shooting. In the first half, Xavier was 15 for 17. They have not attempted a free throw in the second half. And we're almost midway through. That's quite a turnaround. Credit John Beilein and his staff with their halftime adjustments.
Gone to the zone a lot more here in this second half.
Reynolds getting into foul trouble obviously cut into that.
5-point game. Sumner to the rack. Couldn't get it, and a charge.
Yep, good call.
Out of control. Sumner is 1 on 3, and that's the third on Sumner.
The arc is bigger, but it's not that much bigger. That was, I believe, Ricky Doyle stepping in. It's just hard when you're on the bench for that long. To be honest, Jeff, I've never been a fan of a hard policy where a player gets 2 fouls and you sit them for the entire half. I think players, A, need minutes to have rhythm and then to develop that discipline not to get the third.
Xavier now has 5 players with 3 fouls. LeVert from 3. Knocked it down. 2-point game. LeVert has 22, and the crowd back in it. McCura. What an answer by Xavier. Ice water. Just when this crowd has gotten back into this game, Xavier's found a way to quiet him. There's Robinson. And a foul on Irvin. As we look at the 3-pointers.
Robinson missed the shot, but you cannot leave him. You see Karis LeVert with a nice look. They're certainly not going to be surprised to see the 1-3-1. Xavier played it a lot down the stretch last season, and on the other end, J.P. McCura with the big-time 3. Xavier's not going away.
Sumner inside. Reynolds.
Take a punch to the body and deliver one back. Xavier cannot leave Duncan Robinson in the corner.
Underneath. Couldn't get it. Out of bounds. Staying with Michigan. Aubrey Dawkins is going to check in for Michigan. Miles Davis for Xavier. McCura is going to hit the bench. John Beilein not happy with the officials. And he's going to be careful here. Chris Mack, a late substitution as well. Larry Austin checking in for Farr.
I don't know if John thought there was a foul on Robinson's shot there. I'm not sure what he's complaining about. Xavier hadn't shot a free throw in the second half.
Bump foul on Austin.
And believe me, Ed Corbett's heard enough.
For Austin, that's his 4th. 1-1 for LeVert as Michigan's in the bonus. Have been for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, give Michigan credit for turning the foul situation around. They've only committed 5. Xavier's got 9.
LeVert knocks down the first.
Xavier dominating the paint, 28-14. That's how you get it done on the road. That's how you get Capone.
LeVert leading all scorers with 23. Reynolds rips down another board.
That's a man's rebound. I expect Jalen Reynolds to like get a rebound and just completely deflate the basketball, right?
McCura. Too strong. Reynolds tried to save. It was out of bounds. Oh, they're going to get a push.
Look at him flexing. Look at him flexing. Played for Detroit Country Day. Familiar school for Michigan fans. Excuse me, Sumner played for Detroit Country Day. Jalen Reynolds is from the city of Detroit and did not get recruited by Michigan. So he and Sumner both have that motivation, and he is playing his tail off tonight.
He's getting fired up in the student section.
See, that's where you just sit down and take a blow. There's just no reason for that. You know, it's what they say about guys who run hot. They can heat the building or they can burn it down. It's a fine line.
The officials just called Reynolds for his 4th foul. They called him for a push as he was trying to save that ball from going out of bounds. They say that he pushed off on Dawkins.
Tough call. And you watch him go out of bounds. He's going to have Dawkins, and he's going to lean into him. Gosh, I don't know about that. I mean, certainly didn't get any kind of advantage because the ball was going out of bounds anyway. It's a tough foul call. Kind of night that he's had for his 4th foul.
This is an opportunity for Michigan now with Reynolds on the bench. And now they're trailing by 4. They could get right back in it.
I mean, it's just amazing the way that this foul shooting thing has turned around. Xavier hadn't shot a free throw the whole second half.
And Michigan 7 of 9 from the line since the intermission. Mismatched again. Sumner to the corner. Bluiett. Nothing but the bottom. Trevon Bluiett. Bluiett has 12 in the game, 8 in the second half. Double on LeVert high. Inside Doyle mishandles. It's going to Xavier.
See, that turnover's on LeVert. He's got to know that Ricky Doyle's going to have a hard time catching the ball, but Trevon Bluiett has no time catching and shooting, and Xavier has an answer every time. Up 7.
Back at Ann Arbor, and it's time now for the State Farm assist to the game, and it comes from Xavier. Edmund Sumner to Jalen Reynolds down low.
Well, he's been a man inside, but it's been a very balanced effort for Xavier. They've got 4 players in double figures, and J.P. McCura has 8, whereas Karis LeVert has 23 for Michigan. He's the only scorer in double figures, so he needs a little more help from his friends. He's been quieter here in the second half, but again, Jeff, the free throw story has completely done a 180. Xavier has not attempted a foul shot in the second half after attempting 17 in the first.
Jalen Reynolds on the bench with 4 fouls. What about Farr on the offensive glass?
You just see how valuable he is as a backup big. He can play with Reynolds, and then Reynolds going out, he can still be a force on the glass. That's not just depth, that's quality depth.
Limited minutes, averaging nearly 6 offensive rebounds a game. Farr with a block.
And Walton just has no interest in shooting jump shots or 3-pointers after being unable to miss his last game.
McCura caught up in the traffic down low. It's tied up, and it's going to stay with Xavier. How about James Farr cleaning up inside?
Well, this was certainly a point of concern for Michigan coming into the game. They're not a great rebounding team anyway, and Xavier had averaged 15.5 offensive rebounds in each of their first 2 games, so that should be a place where they have an advantage.
And they get a sub for Michigan. Zach Irvin checks in. Duncan Robinson checks out. Irvin, the second leading scorer behind LeVert with 7. Got to get a little help from Michigan.
A huge story in this game is the way that Xavier is defensively completely taken out Derek Walton. Credit Chris Mack and his staff and obviously his guys for pulling off the game plan.
McCura with the hustle. Bluiett couldn't get it. Bluiett again. Third chance. He's going to the line. Tenacity down low from the bench of Xavier.
One team just wants it more. That's all this is. It's a long rebound, a classic 50-50 ball. McCura beats Zach Irvin to it. And then Bluiett not only missing the shot, but getting his own rebound twice. That's road toughness. And Xavier has been the tougher team tonight from the tip.
6:34 to go in the game. This is the first free throw attempt in the second half for Xavier.
And now Xavier's officially in the bonus. Of course, Michigan now in the double bonus because Xavier has 10 team fouls. So it's 6.5 to go, but it's not late, but it's starting to get late a little earlier than Michigan wants. So they're going to have to make some shots here.
10-point lead, the largest of the game for Xavier. Make it 11. Xavier's starting to feel a little upset here in Ann Arbor.
Jalen Reynolds on the bench. Going to bring him in for the 9th inning.
3 from Dawkins. Rebounded Sumner.
One and done.
Nobody crashing the boards for Michigan.
And that's the point guard getting the rebound for Xavier, by the way.
Sumner running the offense, 12 to shoot. Got the screen from Farr, driving to the lane. Got it. Boy, he's excited.
Farr with the screen, and Ricky Doyle couldn't get over in time.
Big possession for Michigan. John Beilein wants to talk about it as Xavier has a 9-0 run. They are up 13.
Hard hat, lunch pail, elbow grease, knee pads. Jalen Reynolds came to work tonight, and he has lifted the Xavier Musketeers, not just with his scoring and his rebounding, with his effort, his hustle. He's been the brains and the brawn. He runs a little hot. It comes with the territory. He's sitting down with 4 fouls, and his team's got a 13-point lead on the road against a ranked opponent. I'd say he's working pretty hard.
Nearing a double-double for our Duluth trading hardest working player.
Xavier now in the man-to-man with Edmond Sumner guarding Derek Walton. I don't think we're going to see too many games this year where Derek Walton has just been completely taken out by a variety of defenders. Sumner really didn't play in the first half. Miles Davis was on him a lot. Remy Abel has been guarding Karis LeVert.
Walton has just 4 points. He's made just 1 field goal, 1 for 5. That is not hit from distance. Coming in as one of the best 3-point shooters among active Big Ten players.
Well, he goes 6 for 7 in his last game with 24 points. Obviously, he's not playing Elon tonight, but he's not playing the Warriors either. Just one of those nights.
Sumner with the left.
Good patience. You don't want to get too conservative if you're Xavier, but I do like the patience.
Cross court to Bluiett. Farr, another offensive rebound.
Another offensive rebound is right. Just kills you.
Xavier now with 3 players and 7+ rebounds. Farr has 9. Farr from the baseline, couldn't get it. Another offensive board. Sumner 3. Dagger.
Killer. You give him enough shots at it, back-to-back offensive rebounds. It's gonna be costly.
Xavier up 15. And you just have no answer for this tenacity.
And you watch just getting position inside on Robinson, that's all that is. Body to body.
LeVert That's a big answer for Michigan. But it's got to get a little help from somebody else.
And they need stops. And by stops, I mean all the way to the rebound. Xavier's a hard team to chase because they got a lot of ball handlers out there right now. It's 4 round 1.
And really good speed. Sumner splits 2. 5 to shoot. What a look from Davis. Far battles. Davis skips it out. Walton saves. There's Dawkins for 3. Needed that one to go. The foul is going to go on Ricky Doyle. Xavier out in front by 12. Michigan trying to hit some shots. We're back in Ann Arbor. Xavier and Michigan. Final game of the Gavitt tip-off games. Big East and Big Ten. It's a big one for the Big Ten as they could win the Gavitt tip-off games outright with a victory. They're trailing Xavier by 12 at the moment. This is what we've seen so far from the previous 7 games. Penn State, Maryland, Indiana, and Marquette. Marquette falling to Iowa. Those are the Big Ten teams that have won. And then Villanova, Providence, and St. John's winning on their home courts for the Big East. Michigan, again, they need to start hitting some shots under 4 to play if they want to come back against Xavier.
Well, they've done pretty well percentage-wise. 44 from the floor, 10 for 25 from 3. Those are pretty good numbers. The problem has been Xavier's gotten 14 offensive rebounds, and that's led to 12 extra field goals. So Xavier's also shot a good percentage, 43 from the floor, 50 from three-point range. Only 2 free throws in the second half, so this will be their 3rd coming up. So Michigan did a good job balancing that out, but look, if you can't rebound the basketball on the defensive end, you're going to have a hard time beating good teams. It's the bottom line.
Miles Davis knocks down the first. Davis, one of 4 Musketeers in double figures. Very balanced offensive attack from Xavier.
And I'll tell you what, as good as Xavier's been and as well as Jalen Reynolds played, especially in the first half, James Farr, I think, has been exceptionally valuable. You're talking about a backup center coming in, and you don't lose much.
Farr got Doyle. Farr's going to pick up the foul. That is his 3rd.
And you talk about hard hat, blue collar. I mean, that's the personality of this program. Clearly a foul. And we know Michigan's not at full strength. Zach Irvin is not even a fraction of what he'll be in January. He was invaluable for them last year, and he got a lot of not only more minutes, but more ball handling responsibilities, driving, setting up his teammates. He's been mostly a spot-up shooter in his first year. So he'll get better, and Spike Albrecht, coming off those hip surgeries, has barely played it all tonight. So this is not the full Michigan tonight, but still you have to give Xavier a lot of credit for their road toughness.
Going to go to Xavier after Michigan kept it alive on an offensive rebound off the missed free throw. 10th turnover for the Wolverines. Just cannot come away with no points on a possession like that. Sumner threw it into traffic. Ahead to Levert, 2-on-1, and a foul. They're going to get Abel. Beg your pardon, that's Davis. They're going to get Davis on the foul. My apologies. For Davis's 4th. It's been all Levert tonight. 28 points. 7 of 9 from the stripe.
He's done his part. He's going to have a good year, but Michigan's going to have to regroup.
Still got some.
I'm sure Michigan fans will be delighted to know that I'm also calling their next game, which will be at the Battle for Atlantis. So they'll be playing the UConn Huskies down there.
Officials don't know who to give the basketball to right now. They're going to call it a jump ball. It's going to stay with Michigan. Neither official had a good look at it.
That was off Derek Walton.
Michigan caught a break.
Caught a break there.
Levert from 3. Big rebound by Farr. He's got double-digit boards again.
Michigan's only had 7 offensive rebounds tonight. And they're typically not a good offensive rebounding team because of John Beilein's offensive scheme. Even back when he's at West Virginia, his teams have it's never been a point of emphasis for them.
Double bonus for Xavier. Davis to shoot a couple. Dawkins is going to check in for Irvin. You mentioned the battle for Atlantis for Michigan. They've got UConn coming up on the 25th.
You want to talk about a team with some guards. I mean, UConn, they brought in a couple of transfers. Sterling Gibbs was one of the best players in the Big East last year. Graduate transfer, he can play right away. Sean Miller was a great player in the Ivy League at Cornell. And because he had an injury and wanted a redshirt, would have stayed, but you can't redshirt in the Ivy League, so he was a free agent. He plays right away. And Daniel Hamilton on the wing is much like Karis LeVert for his ability to initiate the offense at 6'7". So Michigan's going to have their work cut out for him in the Bahamas.
Akira checks in for Davis.
Not to mention the water slides are very challenging. Let me tell you something, Jeff. You are airborne. You go down that, you jump in a hole in the ground.
You end up in a shark tank, right?
I showed incredible mental toughness on the water slide.
LeVert could not convert, and Xavier is going to get the basketball off the hands of Dawkins. This one's starting to get away from Michigan a bit. Abel checks out. Davis checks back in for the offense. Michigan with full court pressure. They need a turnover in a bad way. Sumner across. Bring it back out and set up the offense, take some of the clock away. Davis drives, too strong.
Wow, how is that not a foul?
Davis slow to get up on the other end. Numbers for Michigan. Almost stolen away, now stolen by Bluiett. What body control from the sophomore, Trevon Bluiett.
So many ball handlers for Xavier. They can all shoot it, too.
Bluiett short, far, another offensive rebound.
Why not? One more.
And Farr, he prides himself on that rebounding skill, pumping his chest. Farr inside, pays it off.
He deserves it. He's had a hell of a game, and he's had a hell of a start to the season.
Nearing another double-double for Farr. A foul on Bluiett. The energy from Xavier. James Farr. For tonight's Reese's perfect combination. Davis and Farr pays it off.
Well, remember now, last year, Xavier was able to get to the Sweet 16 because they had a big center in Matt Stainbrook, who, besides being a great scorer, rebounder, and Uber driver, was also a terrific passer out of the post. So you're not just losing your best player, you're changing the whole personality of your offense. And then the good news is defensively, you don't have to hide a guy who can't come out and hedge on screens.
And for James Farr, what a guy to learn from for the last few years and battle with down on the boards.
That's right.
It's a good reason why he's such a good rebounder. I heard about Matt Stainbrook. He's playing in Germany now. And a rental car company puts his face on their ad campaigns. Xavier up 14 here in Ann Arbor. Big Ten basketball presented by April Air continues this weekend on BTN. Tomorrow night, the Illini take on Chattanooga. Then Sunday, Nebraska hosts Southeastern Louisiana. Monday night, the Spartans take on Eastern Michigan. Coverage starts at 8:30 Eastern tomorrow on BTN and BTN to go. Xavier pulling away here in the second half. 1:42 to play. And Xavier with all of the energy coming off the bench. James Farr, he has been the igniter down low.
Well, they've played 8 guys and they've all contributed. So they're gonna enjoy this trip back to Cincinnati. Maybe get a little Grader's ice cream when they get home. You know, why not?
They've earned it.
They're young. They can metabolize it. Guys like us, you got to stay away from Grader's once in a while. And I'll tell you what, Dave Gavitt would have been very impressed with the way that Xavier's played tonight. The toughness on the road.
Good defensive stop there, but Xavier maintains possession. And Abdurrahman got his knee in the way of Mikira. Second personal. Bluiett has had a big second half. He's had 10 points since the intermission. He hasn't shot the ball all that well, just 5 for 14 from the field. But he's hit his trays. Misses the free throw. Dawkins running into Mikira. Abdurrahman couldn't get it. Far, another board. Glass eater.
It's going to be interesting to see Xavier play the likes of Villanova in the Big East. You know, it's been Villanova and everybody else. All that speed on the perimeter and a solid center in Daniel Oshefu.
Good look from Sumner. Another offensive board for Xavier. That has been the MO here in the second half. Xavier creating second chance opportunities, and they're going to walk out of Ann Arbor with a hard-fought win against the top 25 school. Sumner trapped. 4 to shoot. Davis from 3. Why not another offensive rebound? Foul on Levert.
They just beasted him.
46 rebounds tonight for Xavier, 18 on the offensive side. And when John Beilein looks at the tape of this game, he's going to look at rebounding as the Xavier faithful that drove up from Cincinnati are happy. Sumner trying to put the finishing touches on this Xavier victory. Get the Musketeers to 3-0. Karis LeVert, big game tonight, 29 to lead all scores. Abdurrahman could not get that one to fall, and Xavier is going to run out the clock.
Michigan will live to fight another day. They will get better, they will get tougher, they will tighten up. But sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug, and tonight Michigan was the bug.
It was a tight game, and then Xavier pulled away late. Xavier with a 16-point win over the Michigan Wolverines here in Ann Arbor. We'll be back to the Chrysler Center in just a moment to wrap things up here on the Big Ten Network. Xavier with a 16-point win over number 24, Michigan here in Ann Arbor. As we look at the Gavitt tip-off game's final tally, as this was the last of 8 games. And it's a draw, just the way Dave Gavitt would want it.
Great basketball, and we saw Red Panda at halftime. That's a good night's work, friend.
Excellent job, Seth Davis. James Farr off the bench with 10 second-half rebounds to lead Xavier to an 86-70 win over Michigan here at the Chrysler Center. That's going to do it from Ann Arbor. Our final score once again, it was the Xavier Musketeers 86, the Michigan Wolverines 70. Coming up on BTN, it's The Journey. Big Ten Football 2015. So for Seth Davis and our entire crew, I'm Jeff Levery. This has been an exclusive presentation of the Big Ten Network.